You know, every NHL waiver draft had its machinations in one way or another, but this one I'm going to be talking about probably goes down as one of the most bitchy in the history of the NHL. It involves international flavor. It involves allegations of what do you call ineffective coaching, and overall strange as all can be. So today we're going to be talking about the 1992 NHL Waiver Draft. Now this was held on October 4th of that year. The rules were the same as they were in 1990, except that only one player could be lost by any one given team because this was an expansion year. The new expansion squads, the Lightning and the Senators, were allowed to participate in the first round selections with the non-playoff clubs. Now, the big thing, of course, was the first two selections. Adam Creighton was taken from the Islanders by the Lightning in a pre-arranged deal with New York. In exchange for the Islanders leaving Creighton unprotected, the Lightning gave them their fifth-round pick in the 94 entry draft, which the Isles used to select goalie Mark MacArthur, who never appeared in an NHL game. Norm McIver was taken by Ottawa from Edmonton and would go on to be the first-year Senators' highest-scoring player. Now, in the second round, this is where the foolishness began. The former Russian star Igor Larionov was the most high-profile pick this year, although at the time the reaction from the press was muted. Larionov had come over from the Soviet Union in '89, with permission of the Russians, mind you, as he didn't defect, and played for the Canucks with Vladimir Krutov, one of his former teammates with Red Army. Now, Krutov only played 1 year for the Canucks before being cut from the team. Now, tales of Krutov being cut varied. Some people say it was because he was overweight and out of shape, but the underlying reason is Krutov's contract was not registered properly with the league. Now, Soviet players like Krutov, Larionov, Sergei Makarov, Slava Fedosov, Alexei Kasatonov, and Sergei Pirakin were given permission to leave the USSR and play hockey in the NHL by Soviet Intersport, a Soviet government agency that managed Soviet sports internationally. The contracts for the players were with Soviet Intersport, who would receive a percentage of the players' salaries as transfer payments from the NHL clubs. And he also insisted that the typical clauses in the standard player's contract regarding assignment to a minor league team be restricted. The Soviets did not want their best hockey players to play in the North American minor leagues, and it would have been seen as tarnishing the image of a Soviet sport. Now, striking out these clauses made the contracts ineligible for registration with the league because they were seen to be in violation of the league's bylaws and constitution, as well as the collective bargaining agreement with the NHLPA. While Larionov, Makarov, and others signed revised contracts, Krutov refused. It is for this reason that, legally speaking, he was only allowed to play a year with the Canucks. Now, Larionov continued playing for the Canucks for the rest of his 3-year contract, which paid him in Soviet Intersport $375,000 per year, the same as Krutov's contract. When his contract expired, he sought to sign another. He still had to go through the Russian sports agency, who would continue to draw a portion of his salary from him. Rather than allow this to go on, he signed a similar contract with Lugano of the Swiss League, thumbing his nose at the Russian government. Now, the Sharks, who had finished last in the '92 season, which was their first, were hoping to sign Larionov and Makarov to contracts in order to dramatically improve the squad. Makarov's contract with the Flames also expired in '92, and the Sharks made him an offer in July. Now, Makarov was considered a Group 3 free agent, which meant at the time that the Flames were not entitled to any compensation should Makarov sign a contract with another team, but he still had the right to match any other squad's offer. Now, the Flames elected to match the Sharks' offer, and Makarov would remain a Flame for the foreseeable future. Despite this setback, the Sharks continued to pursue Larionov and picked him up for the Canucks in the waiver draft. Now, he took almost a year, but after the '93 season, the Russian government relented and allowed Larionov to sign an NHL contract without any interference. He signed on the dotted line on June 5th, 1993. Now, Makarov had enough of playing in Calgary, and this was the story that was going around at the time. He had a terrible relationship with Flames coach Dave King, who was also the head coach previously of Team Canada that would skate against the Russians. Now, Makarov never got along with any of the Flames coaches, and his first year in Calgary, he told Terry Crisp, who was the former head coach, Viktor Tikhonov, bad guy, good coach. You, good guy, bad coach. At the end of the season, just days before the 93 expansion draft, he was traded to the Hartford Whalers. The Whalers intended on drafting Viktor Kozlov in the 93 entry draft and hoped that Makarov would mentor him and young prospect Andrei Nikolishin, their first-round pick in 92, who was still playing in Russia for Dynamo Moscow. Makarov was not keen on the idea, as he wanted to play for the Sharks and with his old pal Larionov. The Sharks in turn made a deal with the Whalers. The Whalers would get the Sharks' number 2 overall pick in exchange for the Whalers' number 6 overall pick, their second and third round picks, and Makarov. With the number 2 pick, the Whalers selected Chris Pronger. With the number 6 pick, the Sharks selected Kozlov. Now, Larionov and Makarov were teammates again for the first time since he left the Soviet Union in '89. They would lead the Sharks to the single greatest turnaround season in NHL history, a gain of 58 points over their record in '93, and their first playoff berth, where they famously upset the heavily favored Detroit Red Wings in the first round. That's a year where Detroit could have probably went all the way, but you know what happened that year. Detroit rebounded from that and won a few Stanley Cup titles later on, but it's kind of smartened up the franchise, and he finally made it go later on. So going back to the draft, again, Yvan Courtois was taken by the Sharks from Washington. Chris Dahlquist was taken by Calgary from Minnesota. Sean Cronin was taken by the Flyers from Quebec. And again, Larionov taken from the Canucks by San Jose. Dougie Evans taken by Philadelphia from the Nordiques. And of course, that great American skater, Dave Christian, was taken from the Blues by the Blackhawks. And Christian had some good games with the Chicago, as we all know. So that's a story of probably the strangest waiver draft, the 1992 NHL waiver draft, where the stench of rubles and borscht and whatever the Russians eat at the rink. I don't know, probably popcorn. Just the smell of stale Russian popcorn was wafting in the halls. Thanks for listening. Bye.